I think Rashford's goal in this game against Arsenal perfectly exemplifies how United have to play in order to create these artificial transitions. If you watched a lot of Roberto De Zerbi's Brighton last season, you saw that's exactly what Brighton were trying to do, looking to build out from the back in a manner that basically entices the opposition to push high up the pitch, leaving a massive space in behind their midfield, which then means that if you are able to play through the press and move the ball quickly, you can exploit massive amounts of space between the opposition's midfield and defensive lines, as United did for Rashford's goal. And whilst the manner of these attacks make it look like a counter-attack, is actually using a methodical possession approach in order to stretch the opposition's defensive system, which is exactly what happens when the opposition have possession and lose the ball, and your side is able to counter-attack. So whilst it looks like a counter-attack, it's actually not. And even though this goal doesn't 100% fall into this category, I think it does give a good idea as to how United need to play going forward. But why exactly do I think this? But before I go any further, are you looking to dramatically improve your fantasy football point score from last season? Well, let me tell you about the sponsor of today's video, Fantasy Football Fix, which is the perfect tool for anyone who wants to get the best possible start to this FPL season, as they provide an Elite 11 team reveal which allows you to track fantasy football's greatest ever managers in real time, with over 82 top 10,000 and 61 top 5,000 finishes. And just in my opinion, if you're not using this and someone else is, you're at a massive disadvantage. But not just that, Fantasy Football Fix also allows you to see the pre-deadline captain ownership data. The assistant manager tool also allows you to unlock transfer optimization, and you can also get predicted prices data to potentially get an advantage in the long run by increasing your team's overall value. And alongside this, they also have stats from Opta, they have predicted player points and much more. And I personally will definitely be using Fantasy Football Fix, and I'll be setting up my own Fantasy Football League, so I'll put a code somewhere either on the screen or in the description. So not only can you join my league, but you can also use Fantasy Football Fix to try to beat me as well. And so I'll leave it linked in the description for you to go to after this video. So we'll be doing a more damning analysis of this game, particularly the goals that United conceded, as well as the whole Jadon Sancho situation, but I thought I'd start off with a positive. So let's first analyse United's goal, which came around the 25-minute mark, and it started from United playing out from the back, and as you can see here, United first drop into kind of a free at the back system to play out, with Wan-Bissaka and Lisandro Martinez either side of Lindelof, but Christian Eriksen is also dropping deep to basically give United more progressive passing ability, with Casemiro sitting slightly higher. And I think Ten Hag has to use this as a solution for United going forward, because I just don't think Casemiro is good enough with his back to goal in his own defensive third, and so you're going to need someone like Christian Eriksen, or probably more likely Sofiane Amrabat, dropping into these deep positions to help United play out. And Christian Eriksen's movement deep here does actually contribute to the goal because it forces Martin Odegaard to push up the pitch. And you'll see how that affects Arsenal's defensive shape later on in the move. But the ball gets moved over to Wan-Bissaka on the right side, and you can see Martinelli applying the pressure. But also as Casemiro is dropping deeper as well, you can see Declan Rice is pushing up onto him. And when the ball goes back to Onana in his own box, you can see that Arsenal have committed their whole forward and midfield line to the press in United's defensive third. And whilst this can be incredibly dangerous with United looking to play out of pressure, if United are able to play out of this press, there is going to be massive amounts of space behind Arsenal's midfield line for United to exploit, and that's exactly what happens. Onana plays a pass into Casemiro, who pushes it out to Wan-Bissaka, and Declan Rice continues the press all the way up the pitch. And so you can see here, as Wan-Bissaka is about to try a chipped pass, how many players Arsenal have committed forward to the press in United's defensive third. And to be honest, I do think United get a bit lucky here. Wan-Bissaka's pass isn't great and it gets intercepted by Nketiah, and it's all a bit scrappy. Nketiah loses possession to Eriksen, Eriksen loses possession to Havertz. But luckily for United, Havertz was having an absolute stinker. He was giving away the ball so many times, it reminded me of Antony. And here he plays a terrible pass, looking for Odegaard on the edge of the box, but with no real conviction. Eriksen's able to intercept. And now because Declan Rice has pushed up to apply the pressure to Wan-Bissaka on the right side, and neither Ben White or Zinchenko have inverted infield to cover that space, there is a massive gap in the Arsenal midfield for Eriksen to drive into. And credit to Eriksen, not only does he get the timing of the pass perfect, but he also gets the weight of the pass perfect, playing it in behind Ben White and releasing Rashford in the perfect position down the left channel. And now Rashford is able to isolate Ben White in a 1v1, and you can see that Ben White knows he's got to stop Rashford coming in field, but Rashford somehow manages to just manoeuvre the ball in a way where neither Ben White or Saliba behind him can block the shot, and this is exactly what I think Antony needs to learn how to do. as rather than just shifting the ball onto his right foot and looking to get a shot away, which probably would have been blocked, Rashford's ability to almost tease the Arsenal defenders and create some disguise about when he's going to release this shot is what actually creates this goal. And this is exceptional play from Rashford and why he has to play from the left side, as he comes inside onto his right foot, and it's a fantastic shot, which I think Ramsdale should probably save. I think an elite level goalkeeper probably gets a stronger hand to this and pushes this the other side of the post, but Rashford's shot is well directed, it's got enough power on it, and it hits off the post, giving United the lead. And whilst on the surface, this goal does look like a counter-attacking goal because of how Eriksen intercepted the pass, I would actually say the goal was created through United trying to build out from the back, basically enticing Arsenal to push up the pitch, and this leads to Rice vacating that space. And because Antony and Rashford are holding wide positions, this probably plays into why Zinchenko and White can't invert in field to cover that space. But this came from United being willing to play out under pressure. I mean, when Onana receives the ball, if this is David De Gea last season, the ball goes straight upfield and United probably lose possession. But the calmness under pressure to play that ball into Casemiro, who also shows composure to then play the ball out to Wan-Bissaka. And I know there is that element of luck because Wan-Bissaka's pass is pretty poor. And Eriksen also gives away the ball in United's defensive third. But I mean, Havertz was terrible all game, and United were able to take advantage of this. If you remember back to last season when I was continuously doing analysis videos on Roberto De Zerbi's Brighton side, basically explaining how they bait the press, force the opposition to push high up the pitch, and then look to build through that press to then essentially create a quick transition in attack because of the amount of space left in the midfield, well, United did exactly this. And even though it wasn't as clean a build-up as Brighton's, or probably what Ten Hag would like, I still think this goal perfectly exemplifies why United need to continue playing out from the back, enticing the opposition higher up the pitch. They just need to improve their actual ability to play through the press, particularly on the right side, because anytime the ball goes out to Wan-Bissaka, I'm just not confident. I always feel the play is going to break down. And to be honest, I could also say the same for Casemiro, who I don't think is great in that position. Amrabat should definitely improve United's ability to do this, because I think he's a much better press-resistant player, and so ideally I would have Amrabat dropping into these deep positions and Casemiro maybe retaining a higher position as he does here, with Eriksen being the player to drop deep. But once United are able to improve their ability to play through the press and exploit these sort of spaces, they have the players in Bruno Fernandes and Christian Eriksen to play these sorts of through balls, and the player in Marcus Rashford to take advantage. And I think this would suit United. We obviously know they're best on the counter, and if you look at all their attackers that can play in the front three, apart from Anthony Martial, they're pretty much all players who want to run in behind. We saw just how effective Højlund can be when he's running in behind the centre-backs, when he absolutely blistered past Gabriel. And for pretty much the whole time he was on the pitch, he was causing Gabriel and Saliba huge problems with his physicality and his pace running in behind them. Also with Antony on the right, or maybe even Garnacho at this point, because it seems like Sancho's fallen completely out of favour, you want either of these two basically holding their width high up the pitch, pushing the opposition's fullback backwards, as both Rashford and Antony did with Zinchenko and White. And so with your front three pinning the opposition's backline backwards, if their midfield line looks to commit to a press as Arsenal did here, the space is going to be huge between the defensive and midfield line. And I think this is where Ten Hag wants Mount and Fernandes to thrive, basically playing in these positions, drifting into the space and looking to be the players to receive the ball and play these through balls for the likes of Rashford and Antony to run onto. I think the bigger problem for United is when the opposition decide they're not going to be baited into a press, as Arsenal did for large periods of this game, and when this happens and the space isn't there between the lines, United really struggle to progress the ball into the final third. I mean, United were controlling possession in this game, and despite having I think over 60% of possession in the first 10 minutes, I don't think they even made a pass into the final third. So thank you for watching. I will be doing analysis videos on how Amrabat will affect the side, the Jadon Sancho situation, analysing the problems with United's defensive system which led to Arsenal's goals. And also give me some other video ideas in the comment section as well, put your thoughts on the game, check the description for more videos as well, and follow me on Instagram and Twitter as well.